Well, looking at the game, still disappointed that we didn't play better throughout. We missed opportunities in this game and gave away some advantage with some mistakes that we made. And the Chargers did a nice job of taking advantage of it. And we played a real good, tight game and got down to the end, had a chance to be in it, and wasn't able to finish it. I was real impressed with the quarterback. Even though his numbers weren't huge, just the plays that he made, the throws that he made. The receivers were really good, and the tailback was really good too. So they did a nice job on that side of it. And we had our opportunities. I love the way we played in the second half, where the defense came around and didn't give them a score, didn't give them any third downs, and gave us a chance, took the ball off them with the clock running out to give us a chance to go down and tie the thing up. And so that was pretty sharp, pretty good. The fight in our team and the finish, here we are at the halfway point of the season, to see the character of and the effort, the way the special teams played and the way we finished on offense for the last couple of drives and the way we finished on defense is really encouraging to me. I'm just disappointed that we didn't translate into a win yesterday. We found ourselves in most of the games that we haven't been able to win right there at the end and so close to getting it done. I'm hoping that the second half of the season will allow us to finish those games and get the wins that we want and turn the season into a really positive year for us.
You mentioned the halfway point. Just overall, how do you feel about the way your team is playing during the game?
We've figured out how we want to play. We know who we are. We have a real sense for that. That's very helpful, and that's an accomplishment in itself. Now we have got to find our way to get the wins, and I mean, look at every game that we didn't win has been a game where we had a chance to win a football game at the end or do something to really be in charge of it. And so it's close. I think growth, experience, and minimizing the errors that can happen, to make it harder on an opponent. In the 4 or 5 games here prior to this one, we've made it very difficult on our opponent. We haven't given them the football to speak of, and we've taken care of the ball. We've run it well, and we've kicked it well, and done a lot of things that make you hard to be beat. And yesterday, that wasn't the case, but that's what we need to capture as we go forward, and just take it 1 week at a time and see how far we can go with this thing.
When you look at all those losses, like one-score games, is there a common thread in that, like a hump that you guys need to get over to make the difference, going forward, make sure that
in 3 of the 4, yeah, they're real similar. That we had trouble. We had a lot of sacks in the game, it seemed like, and there was games that we were playing behind the sticks. We weren't on schedule the way we want to be on offense, and that seemed to be the common, kind of the common trait.
There's so much change that you guys did have in the offseason, and you were looking at this half point. Are you maybe right where you thought you'd be, and maybe a little ahead or behind, or where?
I don't know. You might think I would want to be somewhere else, but. No, I wish we were on top of this thing, and right in there, maybe we lost a couple games, and we'd be in better shape than we are right now. I never have looked at it like it's a rebuilding year, and John and I didn't look at it like that. We saw the opportunities to fill the spots, and we thought we could keep moving and going. There's always going to be some growing time, and we saw that in the first 2 weeks of the season, I think. So, as far as expectations, our expectations are higher, and that's why we're disappointed that we're not in better shape than we are right now.
Chargers yesterday, I think they averaged 7.3 yards per carry against you guys. What did you kind of see in your run defense, particularly in the first half when they
there was really 4 really big runs in the game. We made errors. We just made mistakes on the plays, and they took full advantage. The very first play of the game, we gave away some fits that we're not supposed to, and the toss for the touchdown was a big mistake on our end too, and so we just had to be cleaner. And they were able. The tailback was really good, and he took advantage of the space that he got. The receivers both had 2 different guys had good plays on the fly sweeps, and so it's generally, I always tell you about the running game. It's always about discipline, and it's always about being really strictly fitted together. And we misfit some stuff in anticipation of some other things, and I just need to clean it up. Our players know exactly what they did. We saw the same plays later in the game, and they made no yards. So, we just made some errors.
How concerned are you with Chris Carson's health going forward? How big a deal is it?
I talked to Chris, and it's about like it was last week. He's sore, but he was sore last week, and he made it through it. We'll have to wait and see. We'll just go day to day with him. We'll take care of him early in the week and see how he rounds out later in the week.
Is this still back from the Dallas game, that hip injury there?
No. No.
How integral has he and Fluker proven to be now with what you're trying to do offensively?
Well, Chris has really been a really good fit for us because of the style of running and the nature that he brings to the game. He's so tough and physical and attacking. We love his play. So that affects more than just the yardage that you make. His style of play is one that our guys really are fired up about, and love to see him make the plays. Like the touchdown he scored against Detroit at the end of the game there, or the last touchdown we had. Just the way he did it, and the style of it, and the aggressiveness, and we love that. So yeah, we miss that. Fluke is in similar ways, much more vocal player than Chris would ever be, has affected us also. His toughness and his physical way, and the great spirit that he brings. Those guys have both had impact. One very quietly, and one more outspoken and more obviously.
What about Bradley McDougald? What's his situation?
Pretty sore. Yeah, pretty sore again. He was sore last week, and he's pretty sore today again. So he couldn't. He went back in the game because we needed him for a play, but he really wasn't able to finish it. So we'll have to wait and see. It's a week last week that was really a quiet week for him. He didn't practice much of anything, and I wouldn't think it'd be much different this week. We'll see how he is on game day.
Any more clarity on Fluker's calf?
He's okay, I think. Yeah, I think he came out fine.
How is Nick Vannett a different or an improved tight end this season?
I think Nick had his best game yesterday. I thought he contributed in the most obvious ways. Was very consistent. Russ was really comfortable going to him and hitting him in the zones. Kind of classic tight end type of play. Playing inside, catching the curls and stuff over the middle, and a great touchdown catch. Nick has rounded into a really well-versed football player for us. We can move him around and do a lot of things with him. We have confidence in him running a lot of routes and concepts and things. He's always working on his blocking. So he's been a valuable guy to us.
The sacks that Russell took yesterday, was it similar to what you saw the first couple weeks where there was times he should have gotten the ball out?
He could have, and a couple times, he'll tell you, he needed to step up when he was escaping, just to try to avoid the rush a little bit, a couple times, and a couple times he was ready to unload the football, and a guy got in trouble in the route downfield, and so then he had to take off, and so we really had enough protection to avoid the sacks yesterday. But some of those plays too were Russ moving around, doing some great stuff as always. So. But yeah, he would tell you that he needed to step up a couple times to get the ball out.
Delano's first extended playing time back there. How did he look at safety?
He did really well. He had I don't feel like I mentioned it in the morning, that he had a really good week of practice with the onus on him that he may be starting in the game. He got all the first team reps and really focused and was really in on it, and he played the game exactly like he practiced. He really played on the money, and was really happy to see him get a couple good hits and play fast and chase the football like he did. So in case we have to go with him this week, he hopefully will build on this past week and keep moving. He's been with us the whole time. He's been in all of the meetings, and he's been working and ready to back up. But he took a step forward this week that I thought was really obvious, and he played like it.
Did Bobby Wagner had a great second half, but was he out of position in the first half on some of those?
There's a couple plays that Bob had that he thought he saw something, got a little bit behind the blocking scheme a little bit, and made the adjustments, going into the halftime and came back out. In the same plays, he made the tackles on for no gains, and really was all over the place. I thought it was the best half of football I've seen him play. I don't know if he's ever played better than that. He was just everywhere, and in pass defense as well as in the running game, and he was really a big factor in us stopping him in the second half.
2 games with KJ right back. What have you seen from him?
Really solid, played really smart, been in great position for the most part. Just a couple plays in 2 games that that he would have liked to have done a little bit differently, but it's great to have him out there, and he came out of it pretty good and in pretty good shape. So we'll look after him this week, but feel like he'll be able to play again.
How did Deion Jordan come out of the game?
He was all right. He was fine.
Looking at the film on the last play, how difficult is that for David Moore to try to get that effort?
The guy tipped the ball, and he tipped the ball just 2 yards in front of him, and it was he threw it as hard as he could probably to get the ball through the hole, and those are almost an impossible catch at that time. It just depends how it comes off the tip, but the ball got moved, and David's got fantastic hands. He'd have caught it if he had half a chance, and I don't think he knew it was tipped at the time. He just felt like the ball got away from him. He took it really hard, but I wouldn't put it past David figuring out how to catch that ball sometime too. But it was most difficult under the circumstances.
Can you describe how you're weighing giving Rashad Penny the carries and experience and touches versus productivity?
What do you want me to do with that?
Weigh the productivity. You're going to run with the guy who's producing in the case of Mike Davis or Chris Carson. How do you weigh that versus giving Penny the touches and the experience?
We're just trying to fit it in, and play it like we've been playing. It isn't, Chris has been the lead guy, and Mike has been going in, and Rashad has been coming in after that. Mike getting a lot of third down work. So we're just trying to keep our guys fresh, and just wait for the information to show, as the guys get the chances. Thought Rashad, fit into the game plan, did all right with everything he had. Still looking for him to make his big plays. He's got him in him. We've already seen it, and I think he's just on the verge of exploding. He's got tremendous vision and quickness and foot quickness that will allow him to make some plays. I wouldn't be at all surprised if he turns it out next chance he gets. That's how much we've seen from him already and count on him.
Does he need to improve as a returner?
If you want to compare, look at the difference between he and Tyler yesterday in the starts. When you start the catch, how you time up the catch, and you're running as fast as you can when the time you make the catch, as opposed to being stationary and punch stepping to get going. It's a big characteristic of good returners, that they hit the ball on the run so that they're really flying, and that's something he can improve at, and we've been talking to him about that quite a bit.
You mentioned this morning about the changes in football and being so offensive-oriented. It's definitely changed the game. Is that something that in the course of the season you can adapt to on the fly? Do you have to adjust?
Well, the differences are how you can check a receiver, grabbing guys that's very, very clear cut. Any grab of a jersey at all is a penalty. Those things didn't used to be in the game. So those are aspects of disrupting receivers. As they move through through their areas, as they're releasing on the routes. Those are factors that are going to benefit the offense. And you don't find me griping about them. I'm not. Everybody's got the same rules, But those are big factors. There's all kinds of other rules that have been through the, hitting receivers. That they know that they're not going to get hit in the same fashion they used to get hit in. Helps them out a little bit, which is a good thing for the game. So there's a lot of aspects of changes that have happened that make it more available for the guys to make their plays and all.
Penalty on Sweezy.
That's purely my opinion. I don't know if that's the truth or not. That's the way I feel about it.
Sorry, the penalty on Sweezy look any different on film, or your thoughts on that?
There was a real quick he grabbed the guy, fooled him coming off the line of scrimmage. He grabbed and then he released it, which was nice. He knew that he was in a bad spot right there, but I can see why they called it.
Will JD practice this week?
No, he's going to. He is now eligible to come back. We're going to give him another week of really pushing it to see how he does, and with the thought that maybe he can come back to practice the week after that. Once he comes back, he could go anytime we want to, but he needs a little bit more time to just make sure that he's right.
On the false start penalty on Sweezy, how often do they call the simulate? It was obviously from the press box that they were simulating snap. But are they going to warn them, or is that always
the defense?
Yes. How often is that important?
Yeah, there were years ago it really started in Kansas City. When they were playing to their crowd, and they were doing all kinds of orchestrated stuff, and rules changed a while back that you can't overtly try to draw a guy off sides. And that guy wasn't in the neutral zone when it happened, and it was just a flinch. It would be really hard for them to call it. If you remember back, there was one we had against New England in New England on the goal line. I remember when they quick shifted us, and drew us off sides, which was a nice scheme. It worked, and officials didn't call it. They're not going to call that one. They're not going to call one guy moving. So It has to be pretty obvious. And once they see it happen, then the next time they're more likely to catch it. You know, there wasn't any time left.
How often have you seen a voice inflection or yelling by linemen called in the NFL? Like defensive
Not very
linemen?
often. No, very few times. Interesting, the guys don't try that very often. You know, they don't do it, but not very often. I mean, rarely, if I've ever seen it.
The 3rd and 15 pass they hit to Allen, the long one, to Keenan Allen, what happened on that play?
They just double moved us, and you know, offenses will do that at a time on a 3rd and long and just hope that somebody will bite on it, and he did, you know, and they got him. It was really good execution by them, and you know, it's a great lesson for some young corners and DBs.
A couple of the bigger plays you guys had yesterday came, I think, off of penalties and so forth. The lack of explosives yesterday in your game, is there anything you saw on that?
Yeah, we missed some opportunities. Yeah, you know, we missed Jay Brown down the field, and missed Doug coming across on a crosser that when we got in trouble on the rush. We missed some really big plays. I mean, they 50-yard plays, you know, could have happened, and that happens sometimes. Usually we take advantage of those, and we missed a couple yesterday. That's why we feel like missed opportunities was really a big story in this game, and we needed them. You know, we made it easier on those guys because we made some mistakes and didn't. You know, we were easier to beat yesterday, and that's different than how we've been playing.
David Moore had a couple of missed opportunities and a couple of penalties. What did you see out of him on tape?
Well, that did happen. He got involved in a bump in a defender, and I see why they called it. You know, he was in pretty good position, but I see why they called what they called on that one, and we were moving on a snap in a hurry-up situation. Really, Russ needs to help us on that as much as everybody needs to do their part too. But that was unfortunate that happened, and I think it's his young inexperience that will. Still be an issue some until he, you know, and now he learned about that, and he learned about the quick snap and all that kind of stuff. I think he learns from every opportunity, and you know, he hasn't played a lot of plays with us for, you know, and he needs all these ops.
What's the teaching point there on the big play that he got flagged for?
You have to be stationary and you know, be a receiver, you know, and which he was there, and he just, you know, he got to the spot he was set, and I think he just protected himself, kind of like in basketball. If you're setting a pick and you just protect yourself and nudge into him, like sometimes they'll call legal picks, and so just be stationary.
Trey yesterday, Flowers.
He had a couple big plays on him. You know, he had the touchdown down to our left. That was an extraordinary throw and catch, and he was right on it. His hand was in the pocket, and the whole thing. It was a great play by them. And Phillips done that before. And on the other one, he missed the chance to make the tackle down the other side. You know, the play that got away. And whether he was in bounds or out of bounds, I don't know, but he still missed the tackle. Needed to make that play. Made a really good play on the crossing route, made a couple good tackles, stayed on top and some other stuff. So he had some learning plays in this game, and that's normal play in the NFL if you're a corner. And he bounced back and handled it well, and came back really feisty and competitive, and dealt with the disappointment of not making a couple plays really well.
We saw Russell, he throws the pick six, the next drive he comes back and leads a touchdown drive. We've seen him...
Did it twice, yeah.
Yeah, we've seen him bounce back from mistakes like that. What about his makeup allows him to do that?
It is his makeup that allows him to do that, exactly. You know, he just does not... He just does not allow himself to be wavered by things that have happened before, good or bad. He just goes right back to it. He has great mechanism in him to believe that he's gonna be able to do something really good with the very next shot he gets, and he proved it to you again. You know, those were two remarkable drives by the offense under the circumstances of the time frames and all of that. And it took a lot of stuff to get it done. Took some fourth downs and all of that. And Russ was right in the middle of it. He did a great job there.
What's he like on the sideline after a negative play like that?
Go right to the next play. I mean, right to the next situation. You know, we're going to get the ball. He came off the field. The ball's coming right back to us. We got to get down there and score. He said, I heard him say, it's a two-score game. And here we go. When he was coming off the sideline. So that's how fat. I mean, by the time he chased it to the corner, to the time he got to me, he was already on it. What was coming up, he was, it's admirable. I mean, he's really, really steady. He's never not been like that. There's never been an instance in all the years we've been together when he hasn't bounced like that.
He got his arm really cut up on that one play. Did that bother him at all? Or?
I don't know. I think he was wondering where the blood was coming from. But I don't think he could see it. But he finished.
In general, when did this team kind of find its offensive identity? Was that after Dallas?
This season? I don't know. I think it's a couple games after we got going. You know, we had to come back and do it 2 or 3 times in a row where we were running the football and playing with the kind of complementary play with the defense and the kicking game like we liked. And I think it took a couple weeks so about game 5, somewhere in there. I started talking about it after game 3 that it was coming and trying to, you know, direct our way towards it. But we still had to keep coming back and showing it. So. And we ran the ball for, you know, pretty well yesterday again. And that part of it was there. We just didn't include the whole thing. You know, didn't fit us right.
Now that you have kind of found it and established it for a few games in a row, did that give you more confidence that you'll be able to bounce back and finish the season strong?
Yes, without question.
Now that he's been officially released, a lot of fans will say Bruce Irvin to the Seahawks. What's your interest? What can you say about it?
I'm not commenting on that right now. If you don't mind, just wait and see what happens. He's got waivers and all kinds of things going on. We'll see what happens.
What went into Ford being inactive?
Just choosing for the game plan. You know, play types, and a little bit. That was just part of it.
How did Rasheem kind of get back into the mix?
Did pretty good. Played hard. Wasn't real productive on pass rush wise, but he was giving it up. Did a nice job effort wise, and it was good play time for him.
Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you.